Do you like to binge watch TV? Did you know you could binge listen to podcasts? Head over to electronicmediacollective.com, where they have podcasts for days. You like podcasts about wrestling? They have that. Do you like podcasts about TV and film? They have that. Do you like podcasts about horror? EMC has that too. Do you like comedy? Do you like books? Guess what? They've got you covered. Head over to electronicmediacollective.com. Pick your favorite podcast today.
This is a warning to all living mortals. Moose will release 13 of the most terrifying interviews of horror unto the world.
Welcome back, Horror Hounds, to another installment of the 13 Horror-fying Days of Christmas. I'm your host and gift giver, Moose, and today we have with us actor, stuntman, author, paranormal investigator, and things yet to be determined. Wearer of many hats, please welcome Mr. Rick McCallum.
Hello, everybody.
So, yeah, many hats. How's life? How's, everything going with you?
I can't complain. I've been getting ready to write my third book. I'm doing a tour in September in Ireland, which I'm really looking forward to. It's Secret Ireland Tours, if anybody's interested. We're going to go ghost hunt in a whole lot of really cool places. Lep Castle, the one picture I just showed you a second ago from Hellfire Club. So I'm really looking forward to that.
That definitely sounds like fun. Yeah, send me the information and I'll put it up with the episode information and everything.
Cool.
Now, before we get into the paranormal, I'm curious. You started, as a stunt performer. What? Let's get a little philosophical here. What pushes someone to want to be a stunt person? Like, what pushes you to wake up one day and say, "Yep, I want to fall down for a living"?
Well, what's funny is, without trying to sound egotistical and stuff, I wanted to do stuff that most people can't. You know what I mean? I wanted to go there and I wanted to have a challenge. I wanted to look at a bunch of stairs and know I had to go flying head first down them. And I knew, okay, there's not too many people around that can do this. So it's kind of what got started. There's a story that my father told me. When I was about 4 years old, they took me to a movie. And there was a scene in there where there was a big wagon went off a cliff and into the water. And when we got home, it was because I was only like 4 years old. It was daytime. Came back and they were in the living room watching TV. And I come out on one of them little pedal cars I had. And we had in our house had the stairs that were like this, the split level. And my dad says, "I see you come hauling ass around the corner in your little thing and you're heading right for the stairs." He says, "I got up and tried to catch you, but I couldn't get there." He says, "And you went all the way to the bottom landing, landed, got two black eyes." He says, "I knew right then what you were going to do for a living." So,
resilient from a young age.
No, just not, kind of stupid from a young age.
It's only stupid if you don't get paid for it. You turn the stupid into resiliency, and you made a career out of it. So
yeah, it's a little different when the check shows up.
What kind of training do you have to go through? Is just all I'd imagine now it's probably a little bit more specialized, but in the 70s and 80s, was it all just, I don't want to say backlot because that makes it sound seedy, but was it just you find a stuntman mentor and they show you the ropes, or were there schools that you went to and to kind of hone it?
No, it was the mentor thing. A lot of people would see you working out in the gym and they would say, "Here, try this, try that, try this." And when they found out that you could actually do some stuff, they'd invite you out to the set. And then they'd watch and they'd say, "Okay, do you know how to do this?" Say, "No." It's okay. Come on, here, do this. And then they would show you. So it was really mentor stuff. And then once you got hired by one guy, then they knew that you could do stuff. So it started small and then stayed small for several years, and then it started to get bigger. And what's funny is the guys that you were starting with, they started getting bigger too. So they started reaching out to you also, and then you started getting coordinator jobs, and you started repaying the guys that kept hiring you. So it just kept going, kept building on itself.
So it's a gift that keeps on giving.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's awesome. Your first job, I think it was the a fight scene with Chuck Norris and Lone Wolf McQuaid?
Yeah. Yeah. Matter of fact, there's like 20 of us stunt guys, and every one of them died because of me. So, yeah, that was a hell of a good way to start.
I say start your career off going toe to toe with Chuck Norris. I mean,
Well, he just I had a machine gun on him, and my friend had a machine gun on him on the other side, and there was a guy in front of him, and he kicked the guy in front of him. He flipped me down to the ground, and I lost the gun. He turned around, kicked my friend, and I'm on my hands and knees, trying to get to the gun, and he runs over and kicks me in the face out of the thing, picks up the machine gun and kills everybody. So don't take me along if you're going to have some sort of criminal activity.
What you're saying is you can't hold the gun very long.
No,
it's
not when
be
you get
glued
thrown
in.
Yeah, and then once you get thrown on your head, you kind of lose control of. Well, I was supposed to drop it. That was the whole idea.
Now, you've done double work for a lot of like big name actors. I mean, Daniel Baldwin, Barry Bostwick, Oliver Platt, just to name a few. What's it like doing, being a person's body double or scene double?
It's pretty interesting. I mean, because you're actually trying to look and move like the other person. It's all great if somebody that's not very physical is out there, and you go out there and you start moving around like Bruce Lee. Not that I can move like Bruce Lee, but you can't overdo it. You have to stay kind of in the realm of the actor, if you know what I mean. You can't go out there and be Hercules when the guy is actually Pee Wee Herman.
But I mean, you've doubled like Ari Miloff, Sid Haig, and Kane Hodder, which we'll get more into Kane here in a minute. But like when you mentioned you have to kind of find, you have to be them. What's the process for, like, say, when you're doubling like Captain Spaulding? What do you do when you're trying to get into that mindset?
Well, mine was actually, when I doubled him, was I didn't have to worry about it too much because there wasn't too much different he could have done in the scene. The scene that I doubled in him was in Devil's Rejects. And it was when the Cadillac convertible is racing towards all the cops and they all get shot and killed. And I was the one standing up in the back with a shotgun blasting away at them until, big ending for all of us. So that was when I didn't really have to know too much because all I could really do is stand there and shoot, right? And then fall over, right? So, but there's people that are real, like Kane. I double Kane on occasion, and he has a very deliberate walk. So you had to make sure when you were doing stuff, you had to kind of make sure you did that.
Say, it seems you and Kane have been connected through a good portion of your guys' career.
Well, we've done about 30 movies together, and he's actually my best friend. So, yeah, we've done a lot together. Kind of watched out for each other, which is always cool.
Well, and, so does it make it easier when, you're doubling somebody that well? Can you just kind of slip into essentially just kind of, it's like putting on an old pair of boots, they're comfortable, what you're doing.
Yeah, it's once you get the mannerisms down a little bit, which you never get them down completely right, but when you get them close enough, then it's kind of sticks with you. So it's okay. It's nice to double somebody a lot because you get more into it as you go along because you've done more of it. Just going fresh to the stage, or out onto the set, and you don't know anything about the guy you're doubling, that can be hard.
In the Hatchet franchise, aside from acting in it, do you recall what all stunts you've done in the franchise?
Actually, did quite a bit of them. I had to double Kane several places because in the Hatchet series, Kane is playing Victor Crowley's father, and he's also playing Victor Crowley. Now, when they're in the same scene together, obviously, the easier one for me to double is the one in the costume. Right. So actually, the very first time you see me on screen is right at the start when some little kids light the place that he stays, the cabin, and it catches on fire, and he's running back and forth trying to get out. And Kane comes over with the hatchet. He starts hacking away at the door, trying to get it open for him. And Victor comes up and he stands there, and the hatchet comes through and hits him in the face. And he staggers backwards and down he goes. Well, that was me, obviously, because Kane can't swing on one side and be on the other side at the same time. Now, when I say I've doubled Kane, I didn't double him because he couldn't do the stunts, because he's every bit as good as me, probably better, right? And but he can't be in two places at one time, right? He's not that good, right?
I said that definitely be some talent.
Another one I did was there's one where a guy gets thrown out of a boat. He does a flip in midair, lands in the water, and Kane drags him underneath and grinds his face off. I got chainsawed in half in part 2. In part 3, I doubled Kane and landed on the chainsaw. I'm in there quite a bit. Right?
What's been your favorite stunt to perform, like, to date?
I think the chainsaw scene was my favorite one. I knew what was coming. It was so funny because there was an actor behind me who was kind of the comic element, and I told him beforehand, because I was the stunt coordinator, and I told him, I said, look, Colton, go buy yourself a cup, because we're going to get hit between the legs with the chainsaw blade, right? And he goes, yeah, but Kane will take care of it. And I said, let me explain something to you about lovable little Kane Hodder. I said, Kane Hodder is like Tina Turner. He doesn't do anything nice and easy, right? So I was walking by a sporting goods store the night before, and I said, you know what? And I just walked in. I bought a cup and a supporter for him, right? And I said, here, wear this. And he goes, I don't know. I said, just trust me, wear this. And after the scene was over, he just come up and he grabbed me. He goes, thank you, man. I said, yeah, I tried to tell you. And fortunately for him, I was in the front, and so I took most of the brunt of it, you know. But, you know, you're riding a chainsaw up in the air as it chainsaws you in half. I mean, it's fun. Bam, 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 hit you in the crotch repeatedly. And I don't think there's anybody around who would think that's fun.
No. Well, I can say I've never done it. I've used a chainsaw enough to know that I would never want that to come anywhere near my crotch. Even just the bar. No. And especially somebody with like Kane's size lifting you with it. No. Yeah, that was interesting. I have to tell you about the director, that dirty rat Adam Green, who's actually one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. In the movie, when I get chainsawed in half, something happened in the movie that I didn't know. They put it in post-production. Now, we were down at the Egyptian Theater, one real famous theater down in Hollywood, for the premiere. And I'm up in the matinee area because I like to sit up on top. And here comes my scene. So I'm watching, and out he comes, and he puts the chainsaw between my legs and lifts me up in the air. We're screaming bloody murder. And then all of a sudden you see these two balls start dropping, right? And they go down, and finally they drop off and they hit the ground. And the people inside are going absolutely crazy. Right? I mean, they are screaming bloody murder, and everybody in the matinee thing is turning over, looking at me, and I'm like, oh, great. I'm going to be known for the guy who got his balls cut off. Right? But that was put in post-production. I didn't know that was coming. So, I mean, well, if there's ever a surprise to catch on screen, it's to, lose your balls in front of a packed house. Yeah, well, it was an iconic scene. So, I can't really say anything. It was a great scene to be in. Glad that Adam asked me. Say it's definitely one that, yeah, like you said, people are going to remember. Oh yeah, I've had people actually come up to me and say that. Hey, aren't you the guy who got your balls cut off in Hatchet 2? Yeah, I am. That was me. As stunt coordinator for the Friday the 13th game, what all did that entail? Oh, that was just a lot of fun, because when you do a video game, it's not like doing a movie. When you're doing a movie and you're a stunt coordinator, if you're doing a fight scene, you have to have the camera in the exact spot you want. You got to have the guy throw the punch or whatever he's doing so that it intersects the camera. Well, when you go to do a video, there's about 100 cameras in the ceiling. You cannot miss the thing. No matter what happens, there's cameras everywhere. You'll always get the hit on it. So it's pretty interesting. Pretty much what I did. Kane was doing the action. I would go over and I would look at the camera and I'd see a number 92 had the best hit. And they'd come out and they'd say, yeah, you're right. Okay, use 92. Right. So I was doing some of that. But
I did come up with some of the really cool stuff, but I'm not going to tell you what they are because Tom Savini made all the ones for the movie, and his were just spectacular. So I'm not going to say that I did it. I did. I mean, they wanted to do a few more, but just to be in the same movie with Tom Savini's stuff is pretty cool.
Oh yeah, I mean, you want to talk about legendary work? It's Tom's definitely up there in like the Mount Rushmore of creators. Where in the line of you and Kane working together did you guys found the Hollywood Ghosthunters?
That was actually about 12 years ago, and that was at Mansfield Prison in Ohio. We were doing a movie there, and as we were walking back, now I never knew that Kane was into ghost hunting, right? And we're coming back, it's like 2 a.m, and we're way in the back. And Mansfield Prison they use it for a lot of stuff because it's so damn spooky looking. We're all the way at the end. Everybody stopped filming, so we're walking back, and this moonlight's coming in through the bars, and I mean, it's really spooky. And we're walking along, and Kane goes, "Hey, why don't we ghost hunt?" I never knew he liked ghost hunting. So we started looking around, and finally we see a shadow figure run down at the other end of the thing. We went, you know what, this could be a fun thing to do. So we just started ghost hunting all the time. Went on the locations we went, and then we let RA come with us. He always said we only did that. He played Leatherface, right?
Mm-hmm.
We let him come along. Yes, he says, just so we could add more handsomeness to our group.
Where all have the two of you hunted together?
Oh, quite a few places. Not as many as we would like, because at this point, I spend most of my time ghost hunting in Scotland. Kane is way too busy as an actor, and so is RA. And when we first started, we lived within 30 miles of each other. Now we live in 3 different states, right? So finding a little spot of time to get in there to go ghost hunting is not that easy. So, but we will do it if we get an opportunity. So it's been a while since we've actually been able to, all of us, to get together. So
now, what originally got you interested in ghost hunting?
Ghosts. I can be such an ass sometimes.
Oh no, I love it. It's just, I mean, you think you think you're going to get the simple answer, and you're like, nah, it's going to be a long, nope, simple answer.
Ghosts. No, actually, it's a good story. When I was 13 years old, I lived with my mom in Chicago, and my mom didn't have a whole lot of money. And my grandfather, who I'd only met a couple times, he died. And he died in one of those gun cleaning accidents, if you get my drift.
Yeah.
Well, and I can't say that that's what happened, but, he'd been a security guard for a long time, and that's a pretty rare thing to happen. But anyway, he wanted to be buried in Paducah, Kentucky, and he didn't have any money. So we had to take a train from Chicago to Paducah with the casket on the train. And when we got down to Paducah, they took the casket over to the funeral home, and we went over there. We met his brother, which was really interesting because my grandfather's name was Joe Kelly, and we thought we were Irish, right? Well, it turns out his name wasn't really Kelly. When he came over on the boat, the people that he was traveling with were named Kelly. So he just took their name to make it easier. And his real last name was Volholius, and he was 100% Spartan. So, Sparta was a real country. It still is, I think. But he was 100% Spartan. And you go from being Irish to being Spartan is kind of interesting. So, but anyway, the next day was a funeral. So we didn't have any place to stay. We didn't know anything. So we just started walking, and would be a good intro to a horror movie because there's a real creepy area. And we finally saw a 2-story brownstone hotel with a flickering neon light outside. I mean, the perfect, you're going to get killed in this place kind of. So we go in there, and my mother said, yeah, do you have any rooms? He goes, well, we got one. She goes, well, how much is it? And it was really cheap. So she goes, I'll take it. And he goes, I have to warn you, it's haunted. Now, I didn't really know my grandfather very well. And I wasn't very close to him. So, being 13 years old, being told that I'm in a haunted place, I was like, woo, yes. So we go upstairs, and it was looked like a volleyball court sideways. It was all wooden, and it was probably 25 feet across. This big room, and on each wall there was a rolling bed. So we were on here's the thing: we were on each side. She was on one side, I was on the other, and it'd been a long day, so we went right to bed. And I'm asleep, and I hear my mother scream. So sit up real fast and I'm going to get out and, defend her with my little tiny self, right? My 13-year-old self. Because I was real small when I was young. I was like 5'2" when I went into high school. So I was all ready to jump up and defend her. And I look over at her bed is rolling towards me like really fast. And I'm like, holy cow. And then I realized that my bed is rolling towards her really fast. And we went boom in the middle of the room, just sat there looking at each other. And finally, my mother looks over at me and she goes, I guess that guy downstairs is right. So that kind of got me hooked. That was after that. I was like, yeah, there's more to this than I thought there was. We tried to debunk all that too. We tried taking a glass and rolling it, to see if the floors were warped. Didn't move. I went over to my side and pulled the bed back and put my, and just, and it went about 3 feet. So of course back then I wasn't Hulk Hogan at all. I was a small guy, but that we had no explanation for why those things were flying at each other at the same time.
Did you ever find out the story as to what happened in the room that made the room haunted?
No, my mother and I, because we were too busy getting ready to go to the funeral and stuff, and we just booked on out of there. I have tried to find the place again because I would go back there again, and it seems like it's been demolished. So
you probably scared the shit out of somebody.
Well, probably scared the shit out of everybody if went there and kept doing that.
Now, out of all the places you visited to ghost hunt, where have you gotten the most activity?
There's been quite a few places that have had a lot of activity. The Los Angeles Police Museum had quite a bit of stuff happening there. That's where they keep all the evidence from all the big murder cases, so that anything that was like the stuff from Marilyn Monroe and Sharon Tate, the Manson murders and everything else, all that stuff is there. So if you believe in some of the stuff can carry over, then but it got we were doing a thing like once every month and a half, right, where people would come and join us and we would ghost hunt there. And each month it got more intense and more intense. And I actually became, the best way of saying, friends with the resident ghost, a motorcycle cop who got killed. He was the first LAPD officer motorcycle cop ever killed. And his name was Walter. And he and I just struck up a friendship. It was really cool. I remember one time we had all these people there and we had a 12-foot conference table. And I come back in and the psychic girl, Alyssa, said, yeah, it just said a name on there. It said Arthur. I said, nah, it probably said Walter, right? And I set my K2 meter down and there were two others that were like the length of the table. And I went, hey, Walter, was that you? And all three of them go off at the same time. They're like, whoa. So I start talking and he's answering on the K2 meters and they're all freaking out. So but me and Walter got to be pretty tight. I'd walk in, I'd go, hi, Walter, and boom, K2 would go off. So it was fun. But we did come up with one. This was one for your ghost hunting fans. It's pretty cool. There's a thing called the North Hollywood Shootout, where these two bank robbers went in and they came out and they had every weapon you can imagine, right? And they had all kinds of body armor on. And they ended up firing between 1,200 and 1,700 bullets at the cops that were across the street. And 20 people got wounded, but nobody died, which showed you they weren't the best killers in the world. The only two people that got killed were those two, right? But they have a mannequin, the two mannequins inside a glass case wearing the same clothes that they had and the same guns, and the masks. Looks really creepy. And I had done a live stream event there. I think that might have been with this one. And my friend Mikey Thompson, who's a very good investigator, he and I were talking about how to make the guys from the North Hollywood Shootout show up more, because they'd come up a little bit once in a while. And he goes, why don't we do the sound of, because this was going on for quite a while. I mean, the helicopters were going around, they had all kinds of coverage. And he says, why don't we take some of the coverage and do that? I said, well, I don't think that would do it. And I said, how about we take the sound of machine guns, right? So we took the machine gun sounds and we put them over there, and everybody walked in there. And he's got an SLS camera, the thing that makes like skeletons and stuff. And he's holding them up. And we hit the thing for the machine guns to go off. And instantly the two skeletons appear. And what was so funny, it looked like they were fighting each other, because one of them, they're like, right in the middle of everything's flying around. And then finally one of them falls out of the glass and onto the floor. And it looks like the other guy's kicking him, right? It's like, I mean, they were going to town, beating on each other. But that was one of the best ones. I mean, when we said, let's try this, and boom, instantly. And they start fighting. So that was cool. But LAPD Museum was very haunted. But there's so many places that Balgony Castle's my favorite. That's in Scotland. And they use this one thing all the time. We were sitting down in the main hall, and we had a Frank's box, which is the best thing for picking up voices. And they're all talking, and I finally said, "Is there anything in the castle we should be afraid of?" And it came back with a very Scottish accent. It went, "The energy." We're like, "Well, okay."
Well, thanks.
I think I'll be going now. But yeah, that's my favorite place to ghost hunt, because I became super friends with the laird of the manor. And the last time I was there, he had passed away. He was in his mid-80s, might have been 90 even. And we were great friends from the minute we met each other. I've never had that happen. But when we went back there, we were in this little museum area, which I'd never been to. And the next room over was his woodworking place. And this guy was a genius at woodworking, painting, leather work. I mean, he carved all the doors, like 25 doors inside his castle. I mean, this guy was amazing what he did. But it was so cool. I mean, the whole thing, seeing him and everything else. But when we went back, we were in this one little room, the museum room, and we had everything set up: cat balls, mel meters, K2s. We had REM pods. Anything that could show something was there, we had encircled in this one place. And I finally asked, I said, "Are there any spirits in here that want to talk to us?" And every single piece of electrical equipment went off full power at the same time. And something happened next to me, and there's a girl who was sitting next to me, Lori, and we both had K2 meters. And this pulse of energy that hit us, they all went 5 lights, and they locked. I mean, just like, right? We couldn't get it to move or anything else. And I'm saying, "Can you please back off so we can talk to you?" Finally, I turned mine off, turned it back on, boom, all 5. Kat had a camera with brand new batteries. She had 2 of them that she had just charged up, right? She sat down and it went boom, killed it. And all this electricity's going off, puts the other one in, boom, kills it. Mikey gives her one that he had that he just charged, boom, nothing. So, I mean, the energy was being sucked out of everything in there, and all this stuff was going off. Now, Kat Hobson is the voice of Fake Magazine Radio. She's no beginner, let's put it that way. She got a lot of stuff behind her. And the way she described what she saw, she said, "Man, I turned around and the REM pod looked like fireworks. It was going off so much." And it was amazing. And just to show you how stupid I am, I'm sitting there right after it starts, right? I'm going, "Oh, this is something like this." And Kat and Lori and Mikey are all just kind of looking at me like, "Dude, are you going to catch on?" Right? And finally I went, "Holy crap, it's the laird," and everything goes again. So I said, the laird showed up to say goodbye to me. That was really something.
Ken, you seem to at least make friends everywhere you go.
Well, I actually
living
do,
or dead.
Well, yeah, it's kind of funny. It's yeah. Well, Walter's my buddy. I'm looking forward to going back to Balgony Castle again to see if the laird says anything. Be happier if he doesn't. You know what I mean? That he's now on to his resting place and everything else. But if he does, that'll be a great thing too.
Well, so maybe he can say it with a little less enthusiasm.
Oh no, more enthusiasm. That's fine. We're looking for real stuff, man. Blast us out of that room.
So, if someone were interested in getting started in ghost hunting, where would you suggest they start? Because it's easy to say you could just go out, buy all this equipment, go find a haunted area and just go look. But realistically, where should somebody start if this is a road they want to traverse down?
Well, you have to do some research, number one, to make sure you've got, something going on. You know what I mean? There's plenty of places that are haunted around pretty much anywhere you go. And, you got to go find that. You got to do your research and then, watch some of the TV shows. I mean, a lot of that stuff's a bunch of BS, just to be honest with you. But, they do have stuff that you can watch. that picture I just put up in the background, that's my buddy, the Laird. That's Balgony Castle, and that's Alfie, his partner that's with him all the time. Now tell me, if you were casting a movie and you need a Laird of Castle, that's the guy you got to pick. I mean, look, he's got the dog, the beard. I mean, yeah, I just had to put that over there so you can see it. But that's Balgony. Yes, that's Balgony Castle in the back. But just do a little research. Go online and see if there's any ghost hunting clubs or groups near you, because they're all over the place.
Well, and you touched on it momentarily ago. I was going to ask what your thoughts were on like the copious amounts of like ghost hunting shows and paranormal shows, and like if you had to put a number on it, I'd say how many of them do you think are legit and how many of them are for show?
I'd say it's probably 50-50. And I would say the ones that are part of the 50-50 on the bad side probably aren't doing it on purpose. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, they may, but, my group was on Ghost Adventures. As a matter of fact, we were the very first group to ever ghost hunt with them, not just be the guys that tell a story. We actually went ghost hunting with them. And I get questions about, well, how is Zach? And I tell him, I said, Zach's a great dude. I mean, I actually stunt coordinated his movie for him. He coordinated a movie, he produced a movie. So, by the way, this is where Kane and I got started.
That looks eerie as hell.
Yeah, we were way down here at the very end in the back and walking towards where I'm sitting. So, that was, and there were no lights on. I mean, this was dark, and I mean, that's where we got started. So, but Zach and stuff, we watched, Kane and I, our reputations are very important to us. So we watched like, hawks to make sure that they were all, doing exactly what they were supposed to be doing. And they were. I mean, they didn't pull any BS whatsoever. So, I will go to bat for those guys.
I say Zach does catch a lot of crap from time to time, but I think the hunting is real. I think it's the production that goes into it and posts that makes it look not that gives people the shadow of a doubt.
Well, one thing you have to remember is ghosts don't play on command.
No, right.
So, oh, by the way, this is...
there's the nut scene.
That's me getting sawed in half.
There goes your nuts.
And in about another 5 seconds, yes, they do. But, it's... a lot of this stuff is just, just to be totally honest with you, just total BS. You know what I mean? I mean, it's crap, and one of the things that the reason you can tell it's crap is when all of a sudden they have, oh my goodness, look at this. And the camera is always exactly in the right spot.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen. I mean, if you really want to catch something when you're ghost hunting, turn your camera off and it'll instantly start working out there. It's amazing.
Well, it's like catching your kids doing something they're not supposed to. They're not going to do it while you're watching.
I don't have any kids, so I can't. I can't answer that one. But I was pretty much. I stayed away from everything. I just thought it'd be the best to be somewhere else.
So you're an honorary lifetime member of the Scottish Paranormal, and you're in their Hall of Fame.
That's what they said.
That's awesome.
That's what they said. It's. I go ghost hunting with them all the time. I mean, we did the live shows from the people who started Ghost Hunters. We did a live show from there for Back to the States, and Jay Bloomkey and Kathleen Burns. I mean, wonderful people. I mean, they get along with them, but just the nicest people ever. And so are the Scottish Paranormal guys. So that was a really cool hookup, to be able to do stuff in there. So just I've been really lucky to get invited to quite a few really nice places. So can't complain.
See, and you had the 2020 Paranormal Awards Book of the Year and Ghosts Believe in Me.
Yeah, so. You know how I got that name? That name is kind of self-aggrandizing, and I'm not really that way. But what happened was I was on a show like this, and the first thing the guy asked me, and he was real snarky the way he said it. He goes, "You don't really believe in ghosts, do you?" Now, this was going to be a 2-hour show. I thought, okay, you want to play that game, jerk off? Let me help you, right? And I just said, no. And you can see the look on his face. Holy crap, I've got 2 hours to talk and there's nothing to say. And he goes, "You really don't believe in ghosts?" I said, "No, I do believe in ghosts." I said, "Otherwise I wouldn't be out ghost hunting for them for 53 years." Right. And that pretty much got him back to being a normal host because he was kind of being a jerk off. But what I told him too, and he goes, "So you really don't believe in ghosts?" I said, "No, ghosts believe in me." Right. Because, I figured if you want to go down this road, and people started sending, "Oh, that was so cool. The ghosts believe in me." So that's what I used for the title. My second book is called The Spirits Are Out There and They're Waiting for You. So they're pretty good books, if I do say so myself. Of course, you don't win the book of the year by being a, really crummy one.
So I definitely need to pick them up. I don't think I have the ambition to do ghost hunting. The paranormal has always fascinated me, and I love absorbing that world.
Well, you don't have to go anywhere. You can have it happen right where you're sitting. Just open yourself up, ask them to show up, and it might take a while, but if there's anything around, they will usually show themselves to you.
Oh, there's one here in this house.
See,
I've got a few things while recording episodes like this. It's been interesting. Specifically, there was one I was recording. I was the only one in the house, and scrolling back on edit, and someone was saying my kid's name. I'm like, there was nobody here. Who in the hell said that? It's like, it was me and I don't even remember who I was interviewing, but it was like they were yelling at my kid, and it's like, look, I do that. You don't need to do that. I can do that.
It's my job. My job. Back off, dude.
It's like, at least wait till they get home. Jeez. But yeah, no, it's an interesting world to absorb and witness, because when people say, it's all bullshit, and it's like, you haven't had that aha moment, where it's something happened to you to make you believe, or even make you want to believe. You just brush it off. Just some of the things that I've recorded, just picked up while I'm recording, it's weird. I've gotten get out, just weird different phrases. And this is just in the last 5 years. So yeah, the paranormal and absorbing that world's become an interesting hobby and side quest for my life.
Yeah, but it's a pretty cool hobby to have.
Yeah, no, it's if there were any rabbit hole that I'd want to dive down, it's definitely diving into the paranormal and seeing what else is out there. Not to borrow from the X-Files, but what else is out there really is. There's more to life than what you see. Just that there's no way around it.
That's absolutely correct.
Now, before we wrap this all up, is there anywhere in the U.S. yet that you want to investigate that you haven't?
Gettysburg Battlefield.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
Yeah, everybody I know that's been there, they all rave about the place, and I've never been there. So I gotta get that on my list. I have a bucket list. But I have Walmart's, gallon and a half stainless steel, Rubbermaid one. I think I did my bucket list wrong.
Have you done any hunting in the Midwest?
Well, I grew up in Chicago, so yeah, lots. Yeah, we used to go out to Bachelor's Grove, which is really haunted. There's a good story in the first book about something that I pulled off with my friends at Bachelor's Grove that's definitely worth reading. Yeah, we kind of, people came there to find out about ghosts, and they left in a really hurry. Let's put it that way. Yeah, it's all over the place. Archer Avenue is known as the most haunted street in America, and I live 2 blocks away from it. And I went down that thing twice a day to go to high school. I was on that road all the time. And yeah, and Chicago's got quite a few things, like probably one that should be the most famous and nobody knows about it. Well, it's not hidden, just that nobody talks about it. There was a big ship that was going down for a celebration. So, one company had rented it to take this whole part of the company out into Lake Michigan. So they're going down the Chicago River. And the name of this thing was called the Eastland. And the Eastland was really tall, and it was meant not for as many people as it had. So all the people moved to one side to look at something on the thing, and it went whoop and just turned over. And 880 people drowned in the Chicago River. And you never hear about it, right? I mean, if there's someplace that's haunted, it's probably right where that boat turned over.
Yeah. There'd be a lot of upset souls.
Yeah, and I haven't been back to Chicago since, and that's one place I want to go to. The best story, there's a girl named Ursula Bielski who's does a lot of stuff in Chicago. And she told us a story. I went to a thing she was, doing this speech at, and she talked about how there was this one place that was on the second floor back, probably like in the 40s or the 50s. And because they didn't really have a lot of stuff, that's, where people would go every weekend to dance and get together. And she said this one guy, a very handsome guy, showed up. Nobody knew who he was. And this one girl took a real liking to him, and they were sitting there dancing and stuff like that. And all the guys were looking at him, and the girls were looking at him, and the guys were like, didn't much care that he was there, right? Well, all of a sudden, she looks at him and screams bloody murder. She just, right out of the blue, right? And he grabs her and jumps out the second floor window, right through the window, smash with the girl. And I can't remember if she got killed or not, but, when other people were coming and they saw her come out and, the two of them landed on the ground, and they went after the guy, and the guy took off running. And when they actually got over next to the girl, there were 2 hoof prints next to her. Yeah. Yeah. So that's, there's some interesting ones in Chicago for sure. Hell House, that's right off Archer Avenue. So there's some, the lady, what do they call her? Resurrection Mary, like right around, Halloween every year, they see a young girl in a white dress walking along on the road, and people pull over and say, it's dark, and get in, we'll give you a ride. Where do you want to go? And just as they get up to Resurrection Cemetery, she vanishes. Sometimes she gets out and walks towards the gate and stops at the gate and looks. I guess she looks back at him and then just goes poof, gone. So I found out that there was a young girl in a white dress. So I guess she was come back from some sort of celebration and got murdered. So. But Chicago's pretty much a hotbed, and people don't know it. Joliet prison is really, really haunted. I mean, I went to school, in Joliet. That's where I went to college. So, it's funny. When I got out of college, I had a degree in criminal justice, and I went and I had a internship where I was a detective, and I met the worst people in the world. I mean, right, the most disgusting, horrible stuff you could see. So I went back and I thought, you know what? There's people out here that shoot bullets at you. You work terrible hours. You meet the scum of the earth, right? You don't make very much money. Going by the intelligence that I acquired from being in college, I went, there's got to be something else to do.
Yeah.
Right.
There's got to be something safer.
Yeah. And then I went, you know what? There's a business out in California where you get to meet beautiful people. They pay you a lot. They shoot fake bullets at you. Yeah, I'm going to go try that. so that's how I got pointed in that direction. I was like, no, I don't want to do this.
So where can listeners keep up to date with all of your upcoming ghost hunting exploits?
Most of the stuff I have is on Facebook. You can go to my name, Rick McCallum, right there. There it is, down there. Oops. Anyway, there it is, down in the corner. Or you can go to Ghosts Believe in Me. Or you can go to Hollywood Ghosthunters. Hollywood Ghosthunters is probably easier to remember. Any questions or anything like that, I answer everything. So I'm just really, really lonely.
I will put those links in the episode description. And listeners, you can find me and other great podcasters over at electronicmediacollective.com, or just follow me on Facebook at Moose's Monster Mash or Moose Media Inc. on YouTube.
And could you put the other one up for me? The Secret Ireland Tours.
Absolutely. And
yeah, it's September 1st to the 9th. And I mean, if you like ghost hunting, we're going to Lepp Castle. We're going to the Hellfire Club. I mean, we're going to some pretty good spots. So anybody wants to come out and ghost hunt with me, come on.
So it definitely sounds like it'd be a fun time. And say, Rick, this has been a fun and insightful time. And what I'd like to do at some point next year is, after I've had a chance to go through your books, I want to bring you back on and talk about some of your stories and talk about the books.
Well, if I could throw something in about the books, just real quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Your time. Sell the books, brother.
Well, they're on Amazon, right? But all of the profit I make from the books, I give to St. Jude's Children's Hospital. So not only do you get to read a book, you also get to kind of make a donation. So
That's nice.
yeah.
And yeah, I will also link to the books. Buy his books, check them out. Come back tomorrow for another episode of the 13 Horrifying Days of Christmas. Rick, this has been fun. I can't thank you enough for coming on.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
And until next time, Horror Hounds, mash on.
See you guys.
This has been Moose's Monster Mash. Come back for more chills and thrills if you dare.